You've got to be kidding me.
The elite female boss from the headquarters exclaimed with disbelief. If you ask me why, well, I think it'd be clear to ask the guy glaring at me from behind you. It's my first time being the center of attention from so many people in last 20 years since I joined the company. Caught off guard by the situation, the female boss suddenly grabs my hand. And with the words that followed, my life got totally changed dramatically. My name is Henry Johnson, 43 years old. After graduating from a distance learning program at the university, it took about 5 years, I joined a major company's branch office in some region. I've been working there for 20 years. I planned to work right after high school when my father passed away, but was persuaded to go to college and enrolled in a less expensive distance learning program. While in college, I helped my uncle's work. Working under my strict uncle was tough. Even just thinking about it gives me shivers. However, it allowed me to acquire many useful skills for my work. Currently, I'm using all those skills primarily in document management and creation at the document management department. For your info, it's well known that you can't get a promotion if you're assigned to this document management department. It's what you might call a dead-end department. I was assigned to this department in my 4th year in this company. Not because I made a big mistake or caused any troubles. Just, someone simply didn't like me. That person was a classmate from high school and a colleague at the company, Michael Brown. After graduating from a prestigious university, he joined the company. In this company, alumni from his university have significant influence. Because he's reasonably competent, he quickly benefited from this and was promoted to a supervisor in his 5th year. Then he was pressuring to transfer me to the document management department. He is now the youngest department head, and everyone is talking that he is going to be a candidate for the next executive position. Even now, when we meet, he spews venomous words like,
"You're still here, dead weight."
Though he and I were classmates in high school, we barely knew each other and hardly spoke. Yet, for some reason, he targeted me from the beginning and harassed me. I could have endured if the harassment was limited to throwing away my documents or not informing me of schedule changes. But when my hard-earned project was stolen and credited to him and that was leading to his promotion, I was genuinely disheartened. As I was feeling down, he laughed and said to me,
"As long as I'm here, you won't get a promotion, you won't even be recognized. You don't belong to this company, so just quit and leave." How does it feel to get defeated by me? During high school, I always felt this miserable because of you.
He left with those words, looking triumphant. I didn't understand the meaning behind his words, but a staff member starting to work same time as him quietly explained,
"Michael has always been jealous of you for having better grades in high school. He was always talking bad about you when drunk."
Such a childish reason. I was frustrated, but soon after, my department transfer was announced. I no longer had to work in the same department, so I managed to let it go. The document management department had a calm and warm atmosphere, free from the cutthroat competition for quotas and promotions. The team might not be flashy, but everyone is competent. It was quite mysterious why I was assigned here. Later, I found out that most employees in this department were targeted and transferred to here by influential staff members. It's an unreasonable situation, but in a company that values prestigious university degrees so highly, there's no choice but to comply with it. Well, I never had a strong desire for promotions. I was good at writing, so the document management department was a perfect fit for me. However, it seems no woman wants to date a man without ambitions for any promotion. I've been single and without a girlfriend for about 10 years. Enjoying the bachelor life and working comfortably, I realized 20 years had passed since I joined the company.
"Hey Henry, got a minute?"
As usual, while I was working, my manager Peter approached me.
Actually, this Friday, an elite from the headquarters is coming to observe our office. Apparently, she's a genius, graduated from a university abroad and is related to the founding family. So, I'd like you to prepare the documents to hand over to this elite genius.
What? Friday? But there's not much time left. It's Wednesday today, and it's almost the end of the morning work hours. How great he's bringing up such an important task now.
This is the harassment against our department. But with your skill, Henry, I'm sure you can create a report that'll impress them all. I'm counting on you. Oh, by the way, no overtime though. HR is on our case about it.
He said that with a carefree laugh, slapped my shoulder, and left. I started brainstorming immediately. I'm close to finishing the document review I'm currently working on, but there are a few more documents I need to create.
Hey, I'll take over the sales department report for you.
Come to think of it, Henry, HR also asked you to create another document, right? I'll handle that.
Another colleague chimed in. As I was organizing the work, my colleagues approached one after another, offering to take some of it off my hands.
We'll take care of the current tasks, so you focus on creating the report.
The team leader Jacob offered kindly. No buts.
Just make sure you create a high-quality report. You're the only one in our department who can do it. Make a great report and prove the other departments wrong.
Encouraged by his words, the other employees nodded in agreement. I had to meet their expectations. With that determination, I glued myself to the computer. Thanks to the help of my colleagues, I barely to finish creating the report just in time for the deadline. When I submitted it to Peter, he said,
Such an amazing work, Henry. You created such a high-quality report in such a short time.
He looked through the report and said, looking satisfied, Well, thanks to everyone's help.
Don't be too humble. Sure, we all supported each other, but only you could make such complex data this easy to understand.
Even Jacob, peeking from behind the manager, praised me, which made me feel really happy. But I knew this level of document quality was barely making it to the standard at the headquarters. Well, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. At that moment, the feeling of accomplishment from completing the report was overshadowed by the fatigue from focusing on finishing it on time. Who could imagine this report would lead to such a turn of events? I had no idea at that time. On Friday, the rumored elite genius, Elizabeth Miller, arrived from the headquarters. She was a beauty with an intellectual aura, and I couldn't help but be captivated.
Henry, hand the report to Elizabeth.
Yes. Snapped back to reality by Peter's voice, I handed the report to her.
Thank you.
She said as she took the report and began to review it on the spot. Then, she looked puzzled and turned to me.
Did you create this?
Yes, that's right. She continued to shift her gaze between the report and me with a curious look on her face.
Let's leave this lowman on the totem pole and move on.
Michael, who was appointed as her guide, glanced at me with a triumphant expression and led her to the tour of the various departments. Afterward, I went back to my routine work. While explaining completed documents to other departments, I occasionally ran into Elizabeth. She kept looking at me as if she had seen something curious. Then, from the afternoon, she stayed in the document management department, watching us from the reception room. Why was she so interested in our department, often labeled as the dead-end department? Were there any mistakes in the report? Is she considering dismantling our department because of it? What are we going to do if that happens? Just before the observation ended, she suddenly approached me, accompanied by the executives while I was full of negative thoughts.
Excuse me, it's Henry, right? I heard you're just a regular employee, is that true?
Yes, that's right, but... Her eyes widened in surprise at my words.
You're really just a regular employee? You've got to be joking.
Her loud voice made everyone around us turn their heads. Why you're asking me? You'd better ask Michael, glaring at me from behind. While I was confused, she exclaimed.
It's ridiculous not to give any positions to someone like this, who can create such a document.
A document like this. Anyone in our company can make this level of document.
Michael hastily said from behind.
This level. Do you even know where this data is coming from?
Elizabeth glared at him, pointing to a part of the document.
Well, let's say.
He could only mumble and couldn't answer. She turned back to me, asking.
Where did you get this data from?
I cited it from the latest business journals. I quoted it because it was from a reliable source. Was I wrong? As I tentatively answered, she sighed.
No. It's perfect. I've read that paper too, but there isn't an English translation yet. Plus, it's full of complex business terms that you wouldn't be able to read with just a basic understanding of the language. You perfectly understand and document it like this. Who are you?
What do you mean, who am I? As I hesitated, she pressed on.
And this part here as well. It's very detailed. Do you understand what it means?
She asked Michael. Of course he couldn't answer. This is just a compilation of legal aspects from similar past cases. As I cautiously spoke, she turned back to me and said.
Just a compilation. You can't write this without any legal knowledge.
Well, I did pass the bar exam, so I guess I do have some knowledge of the law.
What? The bar exam?
Michael suddenly raised his voice. I reluctantly explained. Actually, I helped my uncle's work during my college days. He's an international lawyer handling numerous cases, and it was incredibly tough. But thanks to that, I was able to improve my reading comprehension, legal knowledge, and writing abilities. He continued glaring at me with a red face, but I didn't mind and kept talking. I once aspired to be a lawyer and even studied law in college, but I realized I wasn't cut out for it because I couldn't speak spontaneously. I did pass the bar exam, but I never went through with the legal training, so I don't have the qualification. As I explained, Elizabeth nodded in satisfaction.
I knew it. You're no ordinary person. Not so right to leave such a capable employee at the regular level.
She said with a sigh and then suddenly gripped my hand.
I've been looking for someone as capable as you. Please come to the department. I'm starting at the headquarters.
I was so shocked by the turn of events and couldn't say a single word. Michael shouted instead.
Wait a minute. Pulling such a person to headquarters won't change anything.
Such a person? Who are you to say that? You couldn't even understand the greatness of this document. What does that say about our company's personnel evaluations that you're a manager?
Her argument left him defeated. True, surely a 20-year mediocre employee stuck in a branch office can't be of any. As I tried to refuse, she interrupted.
Not true. Think of it as helping me. Please.
Being pressured by a beautiful woman has quite the impact. Overwhelmed by her insistence, I agreed to go to the headquarters. She left in high spirits, followed by executives with somber faces, while our department erupted in applause.
You did it, Henry. It's a promotion.
Jacob congratulated and hugged me. One after another, my colleagues congratulated me as well. I still can't quite believe it, though. Soon after that, my transfer to the headquarters was announced, and I moved there with unrealistic feeling. At headquarters, I was assigned to the department Elizabeth had started. The people's reactions I got as an ordinary guy from a branch office was tougher than I imagined. They looked at me and kept their distance as if I were an alien. I even got harassed by youngsters about 20 years younger than me, but the reason was so childish it was laughable. I ignored the harassment and focused on the work at hand. The work was busier than anything I'd experienced at the branch office. No matter how much I worked, the workload never decreased. However, the work was far more stimulating and enjoyable than at the branch. Every time I achieved something at work and got recognized, it was interesting to see how their attitudes around me changed. Gradually, I started to get along with the employees who had initially avoided me. I've never enjoyed working as much as I do now at the headquarters. Working relaxedly at the branch was fine, but if I had stayed there, I wouldn't have learned more. I can't thank Elizabeth enough for teaching me that it's possible to develop myself, even at this age. One day, while I was working hard for Elizabeth, who had taken me under her wing, she asked me to accompany her on some job. She wanted to request the hugely popular designer among the young people for a product design, but it was hard to get a good response. She thought bringing some young employees might help, but apparently, all previous attempts with them had failed.
Henry, I feel like you could make something different.
She said with strong conviction, but I knew nothing about youth culture and was nothing but anxious. Despite my worries, I went with her to the designer's studio.
You're back again. You never give up. And this time you brought an old man. No matter how many times you come, it's the same. I won't do it.
The designer named Ryu glanced at us and spoke with a hint of annoyance. See, I knew I wouldn't be of any use. Wait. My attention was caught by the plush toys and acrylic stands displayed behind the desk. Wait a moment. This was released just recently, right? I have the same one. I got excited to show him a photo of the character goods I had displayed at home. That character wasn't widely known, but there were some core fans. I was one of those fervent fans.
Well, that's awesome. It's the first time I've ever met someone as big a fan as me. Dude, why do you like this?
He asked me and leaned forward. First off, the use of colors. They use really bold colors, but it all harmonizes so well. And the face expressions. The kinda silly, indescribable expressions are addictive.
I get you. Finally met someone who gets my taste. Hey you Elizabeth, right? If this guy is my contact, I'm okay to take the job.
We were shocked with his unexpected agreement.
This character is a huge and precious source of my inspiration. Understanding its greatness like him. Oh, I mean you, Henry. I think we can create something great together. Just be prepared. I won't compromise.
He spoke with a mischievous smile. Elizabeth responded with a beaming smile.
Of course. Henry will work with you to the ends of the earth.
This was the first time I was involved in such a significant project. For Elizabeth, and for the document management department that sent me off, I had to make it a success. From then on, I followed Ryu around all over the place. He might seem like he's always joking around, but when it comes to work, he's the epitome of stoicism. Never compromise. There were some impossible demands, but I followed through no matter what. Thanks to that, the product he designed was a huge hit. The subsequent series developments also turned out to be unprecedented successes. This achievement led to Elizabeth being promoted to Executive Vice President, and I was appointed as a department head. Who would have thought that a guy who spent 20 years as a sidelined employee at a branch office, like me, would become a head of the department at the headquarters? I never dreamed that the document I was assigned to create would lead to such outcomes. I want to express my gratitude to the manager who gave me the assignment and the employees of the document management department who supported me. As I was thinking about this, I got errands to visit the branch office. When I arrived at the branch, the employees of the document management department greeted me.
Henry! Congratulations on your promotion!
Everyone congratulated me. No. I should be the one to thank you all for getting me to this point. I responded. Peter nodded, looking satisfied.
Thanks to your demonstrating your abilities, our department is no longer considered a sideline.
He shared the news of what happened after I left. Elizabeth had investigated the power balance at the branch after her observation. She found out that only specific employees were benefiting, and protested against it. Thanks to her efforts, the personnel evaluations were reviewed, and the employees of the document management department received appropriate positions. Moreover, as for Michael, who had been embarrassed at that time, his reputation within the company plummeted. Additionally, accusations of power harassment from his team members, he was demoted from department head to a regular position. Currently, he's managing inventory. It seems unlikely he'll get promoted again. I felt pity for him but hoped he would learn the importance of the mundane tasks that support a company and understand that such support is what keeps a company running. Then, a few weeks later, I was in a tuxedo, in the waiting room of a wedding venue. My goodness, I'm so nervous. I've lived over 40 years, but I don't think I've ever been this nervous before.
Oh, come on, Henry. You're being dramatic.
Elizabeth laughed heartily in her wedding dress. Yes, today is the wedding day for Elizabeth and me. When our promotions were announced, she proposed to me, saying,
"Will you support me in private life too?"
Because of my weakness to the strength of a beautiful woman as always, I accepted. The wedding venue was filled up with the executives from the headquarters. Though I think it's natural to be nervous, she seemed unfazed.
Come on, don't be so limp. Let's go.
I left the waiting room as she was pulling my hand. Who could imagine that a guy who was a single, over 40 years old sidelined employee would become a department head at headquarters and marry a beautiful young lady? Life really is unpredictable.